Hello and welcome to my channel. I'm Tiffany, retired librarian turned homeschool mom, and we are getting to the end of the Last Apprentice series. So this is the second to last book. This is I Am Alice. So in this book, we follow Alice as she goes into basically into the dark, into the underworld, and with the help of a dead Thorn, if you remember from I Am Grimkin, who was Grimkin's or Grimalkin's, the witch assassin's kind of apprentice before she was brutally killed in that book, who was dead. She helps Alice. Partially, she's actually drawing her to a specific place because she's going to turn her over to her enemies like her mother, Lizzie, and a few other people Alice helped destroy. And eventually, this really does follow her, eventually dealing with a whole lot of dark things. She enters it through dealing with Pan. She deals with evil. She deals with the dark of the darks. Basically, she's in the depths of hell throughout this entire book. So she's going from land to land in the depths of hell, which is scary and creepy, and she's dealing with all sorts of horrible things. And she finally gets to the throne room to try to steal this dagger, and it's been moved by this spider thing, and she has to get it from her. Thorn previously was still with her, despite technically betraying her to a water witch, I believe, or possibly Bony Lizzie. I can't remember exactly who. And yes, she nearly dies multiple times. These books are really, really dark. I'm really, really glad to be done with them. Essentially, and then she gets out. In a minute, she helps Thorn. Thorn's obviously stuck in the dark because she's dead and she's a witch. So Alice escapes and feels very sorry for Thorn. And she gets out. The Grimalkin is waiting for her, and she's like, so I found the book that we need to read, and you don't actually have to do that. So, she, like, okay. So she meets up with Tom and gives him the dagger and then goes to open this book. And that's the end of this book. Again, this is very, very dark. This is all from Alice's point of view. And you get to see her. She uses her power twice. So she essentially, as you figure out in the last book, kind of descends into the dark in this book. So she's scared. She thinks she still has a little bit of good in her, but she is mostly dark now because she's used these big magics. So that is really it for this book. I know these are very, very short. It's partially because this series is really, really dark. I'm not a horror fan. This goes further into horror than I thought it was going to be. And you will never catch me covering something this dark again, unless it's real life. I just don't do horror. So I'm not going to go too much into detail. These books are still very good. Even though they're not my genre and they're not my taste, I still highly recommend them. But again, this is a word of caution. This is late elementary, middle school, maybe high school level. Not squeamish, likes horror. Really likes horror. Because this is blood, gore, terror. These are horror books. Hands down. They are very, very dark. And I didn't expect them to quite get this dark just by reading the first book. So that is the word of warning. They are still good books. Unless your kid's really into horror, do not read them aloud to them when they're younger. Because unless you're really into horror, don't do it. They're probably good audiobooks for the older kids. I haven't listened to them. Again, these books are way too dark for my taste. So that is the end of this review. So if you like what you see and want to see more, be sure to check out the rest of my channel. I do lighter stuff. This is as dark as I get. This is probably the closest thing to pure on absolute horror that I will ever cover. They are fantastic books. Love them. They're fantastic books. They're way too dark for my taste. I am the kid who did not like Halloween as a young child because I didn't like being scared. I love it now. In fact, I'm shooting this on Halloween of 2021. So that's when this is being shot. So this is the dark of the dark. But I like the history of Halloween. rather than the blood and the gore. So I cover lighter stuff. I cover more fun stuff, more history stuff. We are a secular homeschooling family, so I cover some of that. That's always what's on my mind. These are great fiction. There's not much educational value other than they're enjoyable reads for a certain type of child. If your family is very big into Halloween and dark and horror and stuff like that, and reading stuff like R.L. Stine, though I think this is darker than that, and Stephen King, these are up your alley. They really are. They're not up mine. So that is it for this review. Be sure to check out the rest of my channel, videos, all sorts of reviews. So check out what I've got. Thank you.